Hello and welcome to Kinnick Farms. We're back with another episode of UMRV, Upper Mississippi River Valley, and we've moved the time forward into March here, and we're going to start things off by taking these sunflowers down to the train station and shipping them off to Minneapolis, where we've got our best sell price of the season right now. If we look real quick at the time-saving stock mod, you can see our value is... Well, it was a lot higher. I just took a bunch out of our bins, but 49 out of 49, it's just a little bit off here. And if we come here, you can see our price is up at $60.78 total. And so we're going to take all of this down and toss it in the railway silo down in the town. And once I've got all my crops there, we're going to lease a train. I think it's $1,000 to lease a train and ship everything down there. Given the price difference between Minneapolis and the next best price, which is, let's see, Peterson Grain and Export, is an $8+ difference per bushel. As long as I have more than, 1,000, a little bit more than 1,000 bushels, we're going to make up that $1,000 to rent the train difference. And so we're going to have more than that, given that I've got 993 bushels in this hopper alone. And I've got at least a partial trailer, if not another full trailer coming in behind me. So we're just going to go all out and go for the train up to Minneapolis with this stuff. All right, we are up here in town, and I'm trying to think about the best way to get into the railroad silo here. Oh my gosh, the mill is loud, folks. We're going to swing really wide here and attempt... Oh, we didn't quite make it. And now this car, really car? That's so nice of you. Let's back up a little bit here. We can. And sneak back into here. I'm going to clean up my auto drive attempt here ever so slightly. I'm not sure we'll make that on the second attempt, but we'll find out. And let's just go ahead and untarp here. Well, looks like I've got the back hopper selected. We'll get everything emptied out of the semi here. I want to bring both loads up here before I get the train and lease it, because we do pay by the hour for the train. So we want to be expeditious about getting all of our grain into the train and loaded up. And there we go. We're all emptied out. Let's just... create a quick point here. We're going to call this a railroad silo a dump. And I'll just drag it forward a bit here to make sure we've got room, as always. And then we're just going to keep on going right back up to the farm here. All the signs all over town are knocked over. I think it's because of the snow. I don't think I've driven down any of these places, and I don't think anybody else is driving into signs. I think it's the snow that passed in the previous months, because I did just get done fast-forwarding time through the bulk of the winter here, and I've noticed that a good portion of the signs around the map are all cattywampus. They've been knocked over all over the place. So anywhere that there's snow on the ground, I'm pretty sure there are now signs on the ground as well. So you can see signs on the left and right here, all over the place, just laying on the ground. And as we're coming back up to the farm here, looks like we're running right into our slurry tanker. I did start him back off on finishing off that big field that we had over there, just to get some of the nitrogen spread that we had in the pits since winter. We've got plenty of slurry now to finish spreading, and I thought, why not? We're going to put corn in that big field back there, and that means we've got at least another month before we'd be trying to plant out there. Might as well get some slurry spread. We'll have some time to let it settle, and I'm also going to probably run some tillage over in that field as we get closer to planting in it. I believe it is set up in such a way that we need to get some tillage out there. All right, let's see here. I have not set up a path yet for going into our bin system. Let me do that real quick. Make Make sure to spin nice and wide here so I don't hit my concrete barriers. Sunflowers, more sunflowers. Not quite a full load, but pretty good. And then a farm bin site. That should work for both loading and dumping, I think. And I'm just gonna run this back over here and connect it up to the existing course, and I think we're all good to go. All right, there we go. So he should run all the way down to the railroad site here and dump. Let me just set his other point to come back to the farm bin site when he's all done. At this point, I don't think I really even need to worry about what's going on here. He should have this under control. In the meantime, I'm going to just jump down here and help auto drive out a smidge with filling up the tanker. Was a little bit hung up on the edge of this concrete. That's all right. I really should fix this at some point, but you know, it more or less works. I haven't had to pay too much attention to it, so I'm going to just let this guy get going here. We should be able to, I want to say, finish what's out here in this other field. Let's take a quick look out there. If we just jog up the hill here, I should be able to see where we limed. There we go. Yeah, we don't have that many passes left over here, so I'm thinking the slurry we've got in there right now is actually going to be enough to finish off this field, which ought to be good. And so all I've got left to do now is put a little bit of seed in the ground. We are going to plant some alfalfa and clover this year, just for the fun of it. And since we've got that 9620 on the slurry spreader, I think I'm going to just switch out and put this 9630 on the seeder here, the drill. I'm not sure this is the right piece of equipment for this, but yeah, it'll work. Oh, actually, before we do that, we do have some tillage that I needed to knock out. What am I thinking? We need to take this thing across the road, and one of those little fields still needed to have some tillage done. Let's do that before we switch out. Maybe by then the slurry spreader will be done and I can put that back on the seeder. I don't know, we've got lots of options here. But I think the 9630 is the natural choice for our tillage machine here. It's always interesting getting things out of the yard here. There's a lot of things I can run into, and you guys that have been watching the channel for a while know that I'm quite prone to running into things. And if I just look at the map here real quick, we've got to do tillage on this big field, but I'm going to wait until we're done doing the slurry just so I'm not running into my other worker here. But field 4 up here needed some tillage, and I completely forgot about that in the fall there. I would have jumped over here and run some tillage up, although we were so focused on getting our grass fields set back up in the back part of the farm over there that I just completely forgot about getting the rest of our fields ready to go. This field is not very big, and with this new chisel plow here that's much wider than the ripper I was using before, this is going to go very quickly. So I'm not worried about this really slowing us down here at all. Oh, I'm so glad that I have create fields turned off. I didn't think to check. And last time I was using this plow, we were creating new fields. And I didn't really want to change the size of this field at this point in time, although I could get a few more feet before we hit the edge there. But I guess some grass to hold down the erosion is good on this side of the hill for sure. And we can find a more appropriate gear here since we're only going 9 miles an hour. And I say only 9 miles an hour actually feels pretty fast for an implement this size, but that's all right. I'm not complaining. I should be able to knock this out in like 2 rounds, I think. I don't know. We'll find out here, but there can't be a whole lot more than 2 rounds. If there is, it's 1 more pass, if anything. This has been a fun mod. I just wish I could figure out why Farm Sim and my mirrors don't seem to like each other. I think I've narrowed it down to being a problem with NVIDIA DLSS turned on. However, running NVIDIA DLSS really helps me maintain a solid 60 FPS, even though I play in 4K with all of my settings cranked up way past the upper end in-game. And so it's always a balance here of trying to find the best performance and best visuals and marry that up with having a good frame rates. That was a really awkward spot in the field here. I feel like I need to clean that up here on my next pass by. I have the cultivator create fields. Oh, this actually counts as a plow, so I should be able to clean that up legitimately. I was going to say I have the cultivator allow create fields mod or whatever it's called installed so that my cultivator could create a field update there. However, this is actually a plow, not a cultivator, and that means we don't need to leverage that mod. And I've changed the key for that mod in an attempt to see if I could get the precision farming ground state settings working for the slurry spreader. Because technically I think the back of that slurry spreader counts as a cultivator, and the two mods might have been colliding, but actually that doesn't seem to have resolved it. I still couldn't pick corn as a crop type and have it auto apply the right amount of nitrogen for corn on that field. I even went so far as to remove the field cultivator mod from the game just to see if that would free up the key binding, but I just don't think it's actually working. So I know a few people have said that they got it working with things that could spray or spread, nitrogen in a normal way. It's just the slurry spreaders that they haven't been able to get that working with. So maybe that's intentional. I'm really not sure. I know that I've got the John Deere thing on the sprayer that should allow the manure spreader to apply a more consistent rate. That's a thing. And I just turned on create fields here when I went through these two little spots, and it didn't appear to do anything. And so I'm wondering if that's working at all for me right now. I'm about to turn it back on and see if I can even out this spot over here that looks really weird. So I am creating fields, which is good. And so I'm going to just bring that right up into this and turn that right back off so I don't forget about it. There's just a few spots on this field where I can't get rid of that lime texture for some reason. I don't know what's going on with that. However, let's go ahead and just wrap up this last pass up here. I do think if I had done a little bit better job of lining up and not overlapping so much, I could have probably gotten this all done in 2 rounds. And then just had one pass up here, but it looks like I'm going to miss the barest sliver over here just because of the way things worked out. Not a huge deal, though. We got to turn around and drive back up to the farm anyhow. So I'll just finish this up and we'll get going. I'm really curious. We've only got a little bit left on that field over there. I'm really curious how much is left inside of the slurry tank there. Now, I haven't heard any message from the semi yet either, that it's like gotten back to where it was going or anything like that. I think I'm going to need to follow up on that. It probably got hung up right up there by the railroad silo where I ran into the wall. I probably didn't fix that up good enough. We'll have to jump up there and help him out in a second. I guess I'm going to leave the plow right here because I'm going to need to start plowing this big field next. And just because I was curious, we are still at 71%. We're definitely going to finish this with what I've got in the tank. As suspected, we're all backed up here. Let's see if we can fix this mess. All right, I've got him coming in here. I just want to make sure we actually dump both of the hoppers of sunflowers out here. And just looking here, while the price is going up, it's pretty much at the top end. So I think now that we've got all of the sunflowers out of the semi here, the plan is to go ahead and just get this train and start sending this off to be sold. It says return rented train, so I hit the button. I must have rented the train. Now we just need to figure out where the train is. I see the train coming. So let me run down here. I think it'll automatically stop since we rented it now. Let's go ahead and just get it under here and get it loaded up. We've got lots of grain cars on this train too. Oh nice, we're the Canadian Pacific Railway. I doesn't really matter which train car we load into, but just for simplicity, I'm going to load into the front one. I forget how hard it is to brake the train. And let's load up all 63,000 liters here. Should be, what, about 1,700 bushel? No, 1,800 on the dot. Okay. There we go. Well, we've got it all. Let's send this to, is it Minneapolis? Man, this railway track is super long. We've been going full speed here for quite some time, and we're nowhere near the edge of the map yet. Crazy times. Train will now drive to Minneapolis and will return on the other side of the map. Do you want the train to sell the loaded goods? Yep. There we go. Ooh, we made 109,000 on the harvest, plus another 4,700 on the environmental score bonus. Very nice. Almost 110,000. And jumping back up here, it looks like our slurry spreader is almost done. One last round. And our semi, for some reason, got confused on how to get back to where he needed to go. Interesting times. All right, let me just back him up here. I'll fix this real quick, and we'll figure out how to get into drilling in some of that alfalfa and other stuff. Probably alfalfa and clover? I can't remember what we're going to drill in now. Well, while the slurry spreader here finishes its final round, there's no reason I can't get the tillage started. We'll go ahead and just put it right here in the field and go ahead and create a quick job. There we go. We've created a course. I'm going to have it do 2 headland passes, but we're going to start in the center of the field. And I'm going to skip 1 row each turn just so I'm not trying to turn back in on myself. Should work out all right, although I probably could have turned back in on myself with this big of an implement, but why risk it? And I think our starting course was right down here, so I'm going to go ahead and just bring it down here, tell it to get started. Should be able to figure this out, and it looks like our slurry spreader is down there and complete. Let me go grab this guy. He can finish off that course. Not too bad. I've got to decide if I'm going to put slurry down on this other field, our final field on the other side. I don't think I am. I think we're going to put soybeans in that big field 23 down here. And so if I'm going to run soybeans down there, I don't need to put any nitrogen down for that. That will just potentially have us over applying. The soybeans are going to add back a little bit of nitrogen to the soil, and then depending on what things look like after the soybean harvest, we can go back down there and apply some more in the fall next year. I think we'll have plenty of room to store slurry in the tanks until then. I don't think we'll cap everything out. If we do start to get there, though, I can always top off this tank or something. We'll see how it goes. All right, with the slurry spreader dropped off like that, I am now freed up this tractor to put it back on the drill. So let me hop over here and get this shed opening up. We'll jump right in here. I probably kind of left some things in the way. Oh, no, it was the tillage in the middle. Perfect. That makes things even easier. And we'll just get this thing out of the shed. My camera's bouncing all over the place. I apologize. We're going to run it right in over here. And I think the plan here is, if we pause for just a moment to look at the overall map, to run soybeans down here in field 23. And field 23 is a little bit smaller than field 3. And field 23 completely filled up our harvester with silage. And I've still got a little bit of silage left here, but that's not going to last very long as I work my way towards next fall when I'll get more silage. So my goal is to get a little bit more silage than we had last time. And I can store the chaff in here, and it'll slowly fill back up into silage over time. So using that bigger field 23 up here as our silage field, I think is going to work out great for us. And then actually I forgot to keep going. So 23 is soybeans, 3 is going to be corn for silage, 5 is going to be alfalfa. I think 4 is going to be clover, just because I want to try out those two grass crops. We can use them for silage, or we can potentially turn them to hay, and I can modify things to use the hay in my TMR mix is what I'm thinking. And then for field 6, I haven't decided yet. This might be corn for a cash crop, and we can actually dry it down to try out the corn dryer on the map, or we might decide to put more soybeans in there. I'm not sure yet. I think I'm going to plant corn, though, with the intent of drying it, and then if I get into a situation where I feel like I need more silage, I can switch back over and use it for silage. So we've got some options there. I like having options. And I'm going to start putting the alfalfa in by going down into this tiny area back here and seeing if I can manage to do that without getting stuck into stuff. Why is my drill not lowering? There we go. Helps when you push the button. Oh, this is going to be fun. I can't even tell that I'm actually drilling it because the ground texture doesn't change that much. I guess it changes a little bit. It's very close, though. And I'm going to make sure that I hug into the grass so I don't have any missing strips or any of a previous crop that I might have missed on the edge sticking through or anything like that. Should work out pretty well for us. Now, I don't know how this is going to handle when I'm mowing it in the summer here, if we're going to get issues with picking up grass with our mower on the edges or something like that. I don't know. We'll play around with it. We probably will have some minor issues between the two different grass types, since I'm going to be cutting it and having it lay on the ground. It's just a part of the game, though, that seems to come up. And I don't know is if alfalfa and clover have been set up to regrow on their own. I would expect at least alfalfa to not be needing to be re-drilled every year, but we're going to find out. It's entirely possible that that doesn't happen. I'm not sure. I know in FS19, a bunch of modders had figured out how to have the crops auto-regrow. So this would be an interesting experience. If anybody knows, because they've played on this map maybe a few more cycles than I have, let me know in the comments if my alfalfa is going to grow back in or not. I'm really curious. Get spun around here without jackknifing. And man, we're just knocking this field out here. Guess I could drop my gears down a few so that I'm in a reasonable gear to speed ratio. Keep my RPMs in a good position. I could be using GPS here, but I don't know, it's such a small field it didn't even feel worth it for me to set it up at the time. I guess we'll turn it on just so that I can use it for the next pass here. There we are. I think I've got it all. And if I just look at the map here real quick and check, it looks like we've got alfalfa planted in everywhere here. That looking good. And up there, oh, let me stop before I run off the field. Up here, it does look like we've got the plow going to town. So everything's coming together rather nicely here. All of this field's all done. Let's go ahead and get this big air drill wound down. Man, the air whine on this thing is crazy intense. I suppose I should fold this thing up before I get out on the road. My bad. And now we're going to get all switched over for clover and put that in this larger section back here. I'm just now noticing as well that we have a bit of a fuel situation on this tractor. I suspect all of our tractors are actually starting to get lower on fuel. I haven't filled up too many of them here as we've been running, but I should probably pay attention to that and go through and do a full maintenance cycle on all of our equipment, make sure that we're all fueled up and topped off and ready to go for the rest of the field work. After we get done with this little field, I'll have to rotate all of the vehicles back through for a round of maintenance. This field is a little bit bumpier than the other field we were just in, probably because I plowed it and didn't run a field cultivator through it. maybe not the best idea to be out here bouncing around with our air drill, but alas, we're gonna keep running with it. It's a small field. In reality, I should probably have had a VT or a disc or something else to bring out here and knock some of these clumps over. That's all right. We had a lot of work to do here today, and I was really thinking of it more as a chisel plow and not creating a bunch of huge clumps. That's one of the things that's always felt a little bit odd for me with Farm Sim is just the way that they handle tillage sometimes. There should be maybe a little bit more variability to how you can handle some of it. But I guess with precision farming, there's some pros and cons to doing tillage, but having that needs plowing debuff on the field is a negative 15% to your overall yield, where I think the precision farming bonus for not doing that is much, much smaller than that. We did set up a GPS track here, so everything is going easy peasy. And since I've got such a big grass area on the edges here, I'm not going to bother with another headland pass. I'm going to just jump right back into our rows here. Helps if I drop us down a few gears. Going up these hills, things do slow down a little bit, and that's one of the things I'm loving about this map is that there's some pretty serious hilly terrain, at least on the farms that we're running on. And the machines are getting a workout in some cases, which has been a lot of fun to play around with. And I suppose I will actually just circle around with this because we kind of made a mess of the part down by the driveway here. And that'll let me just spin back in the other way for getting aligned back on the row that I want to be on. And up the hill we go. We'll finish this last pass here. And a good deal. So I've just got a couple of little scraggly bits right down there by the entrance that I need to make sure I hit on our way back out of the field. I should be able to capture all of that on the way back, I hope. And we're good to go. Honestly, I guess I should have thought that this would have gone pretty fast because I seeded all of that grass field over there. But I'm kind of surprised at just how quickly we were able to knock out both of these little fields. I know they're not huge fields, but they still went a lot faster than I was expecting. Oh, we're going to need another pass here to pick up that little bit in the corner. That's all right. And looking at this field, I guess there's some more grass area up there I probably could have reclaimed while I had the plow out here. We may have to come back yet another time and reshape some of these fields at some point. I don't want to create too many major inlets though for when we do want to run a course play worker, although one thing I like about having some small fields like this is it's not even worth it to bust out course play or auto drive automation to do anything on the fields. We're going to end up just doing all of these the little fields, at least these two by hand, which is a lot of fun for me. And let's hit this a little bit that we missed before. Perfect. And shut down the drill. We've got so much seed left in here that we're going to be able to do something else with this drill at some point here. I'm not sure what just yet, especially if these crops are going to continue to grow on their own. We probably don't even need the drill anymore. And that's kind of my dilemma, is I don't know if those are going to continue to regrow or not, and that'll kind of determine if I wanted to keep this drill. Like, we've got the lease to own mod on. I've only leased the drill for the moment, but I don't want to hang on to it and pay all that leasing cost if I'm going to return the lease. Dilemmas, decisions. All right, well, I think what I'm going to do, though, is regardless, I'm going to keep it for now because I think I am going to dig up the other grass area on the far side of the house there, and we're going to at least plant that as an actual grass field here. Maybe not today. I want to get one more cutting of grass off of that field before we do that, but we will be able to get out there and get one more grass field behind the house And turning that into an actual field will let me apply some fertilizer and get out there with horseplay and handle doing all the cutting and stuff like that for me. Now I'm looking at this, it says it's ready to harvest already. Oh, it does, it shows up on the map now as well. Let me come back here and turn grass on and then look at our growth. Oh, we are actually fully into a ready to harvest stage, although it looks kind of spotty to me. Isn't there like 2 or 3 ready to harvest stages for grass? I wish I could remember. It looks kind of scrawny though. You know what I mean? I think it should grow up to be more fuller like this grass over here. I'm gonna let it go. We're gonna come back to this and see what happens if we let this go a little bit. I don't know what the needs rolling, if I can actually roll our grass field. That might be interesting. We might have to get a roller at some point. And we might also need to check its nitrogen levels, because I think grass is going to need nitrogen at some point. I've got no data on this field. Can I purchase soil information here, though? What's that going to cost me? Oh, that's not too bad. Ooh, it's in the red. All right, well, I should have waited, though, if I was going to do this other field, because that's going to be 7 grand each time I do it. Unfortunate, unfortunate. Either way, I think I've decided to hang on to the grass seed here for a bit. Oh, look, I'm still in the tractor. How cool is that? All kinds of weird issues today. We're going to hang on to that grass seed, and I'm going to let the tillage finish out in this field over here. We're already halfway done with the long rows. We're working on the in-between rows. Once we get this field done, we'll have freed up the tillage equipment. We're going to take the tillage equipment back over behind the house and turn some of that area into a actual field that we can set workers up on to help us out with our grass work. And then we'll be ready to move into April and start planting our real crops, because both corn and soybeans are not until April. So hopefully you've enjoyed this episode. We've bounced around and done a handful of things, and I'm excited to finally be into spring and putting some actual crops into the ground here. If you enjoyed today's episode, hit that like button, helps me out a lot. And if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button for more daily farm sim content. And that's all for today. Kedrick out.